In this morning's Health Watch, we are breaking those bad habits, bad study habits, that is. More than 6 to 8 million kids are now back in school. Rejoice, parents. The experts tell us a lot of them are actually learning, though, the wrong way. So child and adolescent psychologist Jennifer Hartstein, an early show contributor, is here now to take on 3 very popular myths about studying, because we obviously want to help our kids do their best, perform well on those tests. But a lot of the ways that we've probably been encouraging them to study are wrong.
Right, and the ways we've all been studying our whole lives that we're teaching our kids are actually wrong.
So one of the biggest myths is that we should always study in one quiet spot.
Right. We want to have that desk, no noise, no distraction, and it turns out that's wrong. That actually the more places you can study, studying in the kitchen, studying in your bedroom, studying in the library, reinforces the information and allows you to have more flexibility of thinking so that you can recall it anywhere.
So so that you can recall it not just in that one environment that you're used to, that sort of sanitary environment.
Exactly.
Actually makes sense when you think about it. All right, so that one debunked. Also, another myth is that you should focus just on one skill when you're studying.
Right. So it said we've been told study math for an hour, study reading for an hour, study science. Now what they're really saying is study a little bit of each thing. So study 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and it will actually reinforce it the more you do it. Or if you're studying a foreign language, read it, talk it out loud, listen to some vocabulary, and kind of mix it all up, and it kind of reinforces it over and over and over into your brain.
Does it reinforce it because it's activating different parts of your brain?
It does, and it forces you to recall it at different times.
Okay.
So that recall actually helps you remember better.
Speaking of recall, cramming for a test, good or bad?
Bad. We all did it. We've all done it. It will still continue to happen. You will not remember in long term. It's short-term input, and then it won't stay.
Okay, but if you're just care about the test, then you're all set.
Exactly. If you care about just getting it done, you're good to go.
Because we've all been there as well. There are some other things that we need to think about, too, when it comes to our kids and how they study and how we help them study.
Right. We've always thought about this learning style question, that kids need a certain learning style. They're auditory learners, they're verbal, they're visual learners. But the fact is that no research supports this. And even when they've done some studies, it shows us that kids can learn regardless of the teaching style of their teacher, regardless of their learning style, as long as they're engaged in the activity.
That's interesting, because that's influenced the way a lot of parents, too, look at their child's education in terms of which classroom they think that they'll benefit the most from.
Right. And what they're finding is that teaching style and learning style don't necessarily have to mesh, as long as you're working on motivating and keeping your kid interested in school.
And those are some of the most important things. Motivate your child.
Motivate. You want to keep them interested. You want to get them to be involved. You want to space their studies out. We talked about cramming. Cramming isn't going to keep it in their brain. Spacing it out over time will help more.
Okay.
You want to test them. We hate the idea of testing. The fact is testing reinforces, keeps it in our memory.
It doesn't have to be flashcards at the dinner table, though. It can be engaging them in conversation about something so they don't realize they're being tested.
Right. Talk about the news. Talk about what's going on in the United States, and you're doing history and you're doing geography with them, so that's helpful.
Lastly, if you think that your child, though, is still, even after we've sort of reworked our study habits, maybe still having a little trouble, when do you know and where do you go for help with studying?
Right. Well, you want to really ask the teachers how they're doing. You want to see how your kids are doing. You want to pay attention to all of those things. And if you see them helping, there are lots of learning centers. Go to the school. They might have tutors they can recommend. There might be older students that can work with your kid to help them. But try not to only have it be you, because then you're going to have conflicts. So see if you can bring in some external people.
Right. And, of course, talk to your kids. Don't
just
spring it on them.
Exactly.
Jen, always great advice. Good to have you with us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.